Hey there. So I know I'm gonna be stating the obvious here, but life in 2026 is absurd. And I mean here specifically in the U.S. Under capitalism. I know that other countries probably they have their own problems, but for this video, let's just use the context of living in America. It is absurd. And I've been thinking about this topic for, well, I guess the past couple of days, but actually it goes beyond that. Probably ever since like I, graduated high school even. I'm 20 years old right now, and I have been nonstop thinking about this because, a lot of people say that your 20s is one of the most important times of your lives where you find out who you are and start to build wealth, or back then the day start to maybe go date someone, or find a house or something like that. But obviously now that's completely out of the question because of our dog shit economy. Nobody my age is able to afford a house or any other basic living expenses, and not even just people my age, but even just your adults in their 40s, 50s, your parents, hell, sometimes even your grandparents. It's like, I don't, you just think to yourself, like, does life really have to be this way? Like, is this normal? Like, are we living our lives the best that we possibly can? Think about it. Like, so many of us, like, when we were younger, we've been told like to just go to college and get your degree and get a job, work for 40 plus years, and then retire at 60 when you're too old and tired to do anything. And we have normalized so many things that just I think in a humanitarian sense they just don't make sense. Like, does it really make sense to to go to work for a corporate multi-billion-dollar corporation where the people at the top literally do not care about you at all, and are solely there, and they are solely there for the purpose of extracting as much money from you and time from you as possible, and I also wonder, like, it is also just so absurd that we continue to let people in power do what they're doing right now. Like, I mean, when are we going to learn our lesson about seeing how our current leaders are getting us into wars, are completely ignoring our outcries for lowering inflation and creating jobs, or creating a better work-life balance, things like that. And it's really obvious at this point that they our government does not care. They have been completely corrupted for years now. I mean, and I'm not going to try to go into conspiracy theories or anything like that. Speaking of that though, like, a lot of conspiracies that people thought of back then are really starting to actually form into reality. But that's kind of another video, I guess, that we'll talk. We can talk about that. But I also just really think, like, is working ourselves until we are completely exhausted, and sacrificing so much of our time to skip out on actually what really fulfills us in life. Like, I feel like so many people tell themselves, or have told me, like, that, oh, that's just life. We work, you pay your bills, you do your job, you work hard, and it'll all pay off in the end. As the years go by, I'm really just like, okay, well, when is that gonna happen? Like, are we I'm working hard, you're working hard, I'm working hard, we're all working hard, we're all sacrificing free time, and I mean, when's it paying off? Because obviously things at the grocery store and basic living necessities are not getting cheaper. We are paying more in taxes, and our rent is going up, and things are just not getting better. So I'm just really starting to think the phrase work smarter, not harder, is actually like maybe the answer. That's another topic we can discuss, though. And I mean, and think about this too, like millions and millions of years ago, when humans first were on this planet, like I've been doing research, they hardly had to work for much at all. I mean, they spent like average of 2 to 3 or 4 hours hunting and gathering, or maybe building shelters or things like that. And the rest of the time they spent relaxing, hanging out with each other, sleeping, or just doing fun things. And I mean, think about that. What are your most memorable like moments in your life? Like, I'm sure it's spending time with your family, or going on a really amazing vacation, or maybe you going on your first date or something, or things like that. Having fun, and just like being alive. Like, this is what like peak human experience is. And don't you think like we should be striving for that stuff? Or instead of giving up so much of our freedom and time to these billionaire corporations, or just to the government who clearly doesn't care about us. And it just makes me wonder, like, when are people going to just wake up and realize how much of our daily routine is just completely insane, especially compared to other people in other countries. Like, think about most people wake up at like 6 in the morning. They're super tired, of course, as anyone would be. I mean, our sleep cycles are completely fucked when you either come home late and you're maybe doing last minute chores, or you stay up like doom scrolling and stuff before you go to bed. And then once you get up, you maybe want to eat something, and that what you eat is like, I mean, you don't have time to make a breakfast from scratch, or like, I don't know, whatever you like to have, eggs and bacon, or cook some pancakes or something. You don't have time for that, so you have to you can go to McDonald's and get breakfast, or like some cheap manufactured food from the grocery store that's like obviously filled with so much horrible shit. And then, well, now it's time to go to work, and then you have to commute to the workplace, which is like 30 minutes away. You deal with traffic, you're already bored out of your goddamn mind, and then you get to a workplace, do whatever it is, but a lot of the tasks there are really are meaningless. And I feel like so many people, and even myself, when I'm at work sometimes, like, you think you're doing such a amazing job for the community or for society as a whole, but really it's like this isn't what you want to do with your life. You want to be actually doing something fun, something that you're passionate about, but society says no. You can't do that because you need money. And that's another thing, like, money drives this society insane. Like, literally, so many people like, all they think about is literally like getting as much money as possible in their life. And that's another topic actually I want to talk about, is money. Anyway, then onto the example that I'm giving. You go from work, you come home, you deal with traffic, all that stuff again, and then guess what? You're tired, you're exhausted from work. But hey, look at that, you got a stack of bills waiting for you, or you have laundry, or maybe you have to cook some meals for the next couple days, and then and then we numb ourselves at night, by just doom scrolling on social media, and then you do the whole cycle again. It's like really, that's all there is to life in 2026, when we have so many amazing technology, and we're more connected with people around the world more than ever, and yet there's something missing. There's like a humanistic part of this whole experience that we are missing, and I feel like we're starting to lose it more and more every day, and that it really concerns me, because some of my best memories that I've had in my life are going on adventures with my friends, or spending Christmas and like 4th of July with my family, or just achieving life achievements. And the thing I do want to say before I sign off here is that I know life isn't always easy, and whether that's your deal with, I don't know, sometimes inconveniences, or maybe people you love pass away, or maybe you get sick and you have to deal with that. Like, I get it, it happens. It's a natural cycle of life. But I feel like we have come such a long way. I mean, both in good ways and bad ways, but we've come such a long way in creating artificial things that we apply to everyday life that really don't make our lives easier. And I mean think about it, it's already quite a lot to just even deal with being alive, like talking to people, or walking, exercising, traveling, and all that. I know me talking about it doesn't seem like that's much, but over time it definitely can have an effect on you. But anyway, like, that's really, I guess, what I'm thinking about now, is like how absurd it is that we put ourselves through all this, and we'd rather spend our time and energy like chasing meaningless things and arguing with each other about just pointless shit, when we could be spending that time getting to know one another, or just doing what actually makes you happy. And I really think we have to like rewrite the way society views success. Me personally, I think being a successful person is achieving things that make you happy, or just improving yourself, whether it's physically, mentally, maybe just being a kinder person, being a strong person that can serve as a leader during tough times. And I think we need to view that as a way to live your life, instead of, like I said earlier, getting a certain job title, or making X amount of money per year, or and don't get me wrong, like there's pros and cons with the whole like money system and all that. That's again another topic, but yeah, I think something we could all do right now in our lives is to just redefine what has made you successful in your life, because I think that is what living a complete life is all about. Anyway, though, there's a lot more that I could talk about here, but before I go, I just want to say, well, thanks for watching. You can call me Magna, and it took a lot to actually make this video. As you maybe some of you know, I really run the gaming channel. I'll put that in the link in the description if you want to check that out. But I've been wanting to do this actually for a really long time. I have just a lot of thoughts on my mind, that I really actually find it hard to talk about with other people, but I think using YouTube as an outlet to voice my concerns has actually been something I've been wanting to do, because I know there's people out there that would probably get a kick out of what I had to say. But yeah, if you did resonate with anything I had to say, let me know in the comments. Any thoughts, suggestions, or if you want to argue with me, even I'll be up for it. And also just let me know too, like if you like me recording outdoors, or if the audio quality sucks and you want me to like record inside, I could totally do that. But yeah, let's just continue forward and think about how we can redefine life and maybe make it not so chaotic as it is right now. Anyway though, I hope y'all have a great day. Take care.